So yeah, this is me. My name is Ruby Jane Cabagnot. I'm originally from the Philippines. Hold on, this is too. But I have been living and working in Norway for, I think I'm so small, for the past several years now. Um, yeah, before anything else, I just want to give a quick shout out to the organizers of Kongres Next.js. It's really a lovely crowd here. So let's talk about Astro and how we can build fast with Astro. But later on, Elian will be, who is a member of the Astro team, will be talking about all things Astro. So he'll dive into that more in detail. So I'm also looking forward to that. But I just want to ask, who is familiar with Astro or been using Astro? One, two, just a couple, okay, cool. So yeah, so so wow, it's big. So what is Astro? So in essence, Astro is a meta framework that designed for building fast and content-driven websites with a focus primarily on performance. So Astro blends static site generation with partial iteration, allowing you to ship only the JavaScript required for a specific page, resulting in what would they say, faster load times. So this feature of Astro of zero JavaScript by default is, I would say, particularly notable because it allows Astro to seamlessly integrate with a variety of UI frameworks, such as for example, React, Svelte, React, Solid, and whatever. So we can have your dynamic interactivity when it is required. So how to build faster website? Because we all just want to build things fast, right? And the key here is, of course, to ship less JavaScript and to do it fast. So if you look at the documentation of Astro, this Astro is designed for building content-driven websites, like blogs, marketing, and e-commerce. So the focus here is like portfolios and some e-commerce sites. But I would say, in my impression, my opinion, that Astro has been pushing the boundaries more and more from what it was originally intended to, right? I would say, Elian, I would say. So Astro was originally created, like I said, to build content-first websites, but now you can basically use Astro to create fully featured apps or web applications. And the possibilities, I would say, is endless. That's why I'm so excited for Astro. And at the same time, I would say it is quite easy and approachable for new developers and just to build something fast and even deploy it rapidly. So, like for example, you add integrations such as you add UI frameworks, it's like very easy. So basically, just a few lines of code. For example, you just do in your Azure Astro project, you can do npx Astro, add say React, and then you also add your Tailwind, just that kind of code, lines of code. And then, although I would say I'm not sure if it's quite idea really to, for example, you combine a different frameworks in just one Astro project. The point is, you can easily do so. For example, you're coming from React or coming from Vue, and then you want to integrate or migrate your app to Astro. It will be easy. So yeah, why Astro? So I would say the magic sauce of Astro is these two core features. So it basically what I said, it ships zero JavaScript by default, and it is just HTML and CSS. So, but if you need interactivity, of course, like what we need right now nowadays, right in our application, you can easily do so with Astro. And the second thing is its island architecture. So, which is really interesting way to solve performance bottlenecks. Because that is an issue in the modern frameworks right now. But before we go forward, let's just back up a bit, okay? So this is the typical website. That looks something like this. So as you can see that most of the things here are broken down into components, which is typically how developers work nowadays. So some components are interactive, but most of them are, I would say, static. And some may require your client-side JavaScript, but most of these are, you really need the client-side JavaScript. So yeah, traditionally we have something is one big JavaScript monolith. So you might render this on the server side and then also hydrate on the client, right? So this is really just a case for our SPA or single page application. But if you look under the hood, you will know that it is running in two places. And you'd also typically end up with, I would say, 100 kilobytes of JavaScript, some of which runs on the server, and then some on the client. And even for your non-interactive bits of JavaScript or application, you don't really need the JavaScript on the client. So what about Astro's Islands architecture? So basically, islands are tiny applications inside of your static page or static app. So in Astro, so the islands are recursive, and the children of your islands are not part of your JavaScript bundle, but are embedded in your HTML. So basically, this means that about, let's say, 90% reduction in your JavaScript overall. So again, why Astro? So I would say one of the most exciting things about Astro, that's why I'm such a fan of Astro, because it's extremely fast to get started. So especially with the developer experience and running in the CLI, is very smooth experience. And it's very fast to build Astro because it doesn't ship a lot of moving parts. So you can have something up and running in extremely short amount of time. Even, for example, you want to do your blog or marketing site or portfolio site, because it's, and then Astro just basically ships the HTML and CSS by default. And with Astro syntax, if you know basically HTML, I would say you will already know how enough to write a Astro component. And most significantly for us developers, it's very fast to adopt incrementally, because in a sense that you can adopt Astro page at one time in your stack. And for example, if you can even you want to add another UI library of React, Vue, you can also do so in your Astro project. And like I said, it is easy to deploy to just about any platform. So for example, you want to deploy to Netlify, Cloudflare, so it can let you do so also easily. So yeah, like I said, with Astro, you can have static content. For example, here, this page, you can have static home page. And then you can also easily add these islands. So, and if you need interactivity, this is just an example. Astro will automatically render to HTML ahead of time and then strip it out of your JavaScript. So like what I said, this keeps every site very fast by default by removing all unwanted unused JavaScript from the page. So Astro's island architecture. So like what I said, from the ground up, Astro has been designed to be fast. So the islands architecture approach allows for the UI to be extracted into small, isolated components. So instead of rendering everything on the server and then sending it to the client for hydration, Astro will only send the interactive parts to the client. So this means the unused JavaScript never ends up in the client. And so your site loads almost instantly, and the TTI, or time to interactive, is likewise faster with much better metrics. Especially if you're very concerned with your SEO. So how does basically Astro does this? So with these hydration directives, so it's actually lazy loading of your application, which is one of the core features of Astro, and this the three most important, or I would say popular, hydration directives that you can use for your application. So the client load, which is high priority, and then client idle is medium priority, and then client visible. There's a lot of more client directives you can see in the documentation. Um, yeah, but these are the three I would say fairly popular, common. Um, Also, as Astro, I would say, is designed for content. So Astro supports pages in HTML, Markdown MDX, and also file system routing similar to Next.js. So and it has built-in support for any CMS or endpoint using a familiar web API. And again, Astro was designed for interactivity, so in mind. So and also, Astro is framework agnostic. So, like what I said, you can easily integrate, and for example, tools coming from React, Vue, Svelte, React, whatever. Um, so, and this is one of the things that I like about Astro, also design to scale. So, right now, Stato is not just a static site generator. It is likewise designed to scale. So you can go from static site and then render the built-in time and then switch into server-side mode where you're rendering on request. And I believe that Elian will be demonstrating something like this later on. So yeah, this is a cool one to watch later. So here, I would say this is an index at Astro, which I would say the entry point of our application. So I have here, let's say I have a Pokemon list component, which is an Astro file, if you can see here. And then I have the to-do component, which is this solid component. And since this is a solid component, we don't need to put a client directive. Since with the Pokemon list, this is a Astro component. We don't need a client directive, but to do the list, I need to do this is a solid component. I have to put the client directive, which is client load. So this is a typical Astro file, where on top here, you can enclosing 3 dashes. It's called the component script or front matter. So anything that you put in here is server-side rendered by Astro. And yeah, this is what I've shown you earlier, the Pokemon list component, which is an Astro file. So like I said, we didn't need to put any client directive when we imported this component in our index at Astro file. So unlike the solid to do component. So inside the front matter, we're fetching the data using the Pokemon API. So yeah, so basically we can define local JavaScript variable inside of the front matter script between the two code offenses of the Astro component. And then inject these variables into the component's HTML template using the JSS-like expressions. And this also the solid to-do list component, we are importing the create signal from solid, and then the index Astro. Here we have shown the input field, the button just for the to-do list. And then, like I said, we imported here in Astro so we can render it. And then we're doing the client directive client to do. Idle. And then if we look at the app, you have here what is a Pokemon list. And of course, a to-do component with our input button. But let's say the to-do that's from the solid, right? And then, okay, let me show you this cool dev tool from Astro. So yeah, we can spec any island components in our page, and when we click, we can directly go to that particular component, which is, in our case, our to-do component. It's cool, right? And then if, for example, you go back to the application, and then we click the about here, everything was, so you can see, so everything here is static. So you can see no islands detected. So no islands or integrity were detected. So basically, this toolbar will allows you to inspect your page islands, see helpful audits on performance and accessibility and more. So this is the Astro extension. So if you're using VS Code, if it gives you highlighting and IntelliSense for completion, so it's definitely a must-have. And then here we have, for example, if you want to add, what am I looking at here? Okay, yeah, this is the Tailwind config. So if you install Tailwind, it actually automatically set up including all the dependencies that you need. So yeah, I really like how they make it easy for us to generate minimal Tailwind config files, so you don't have to put a lot of configuration. Just run this npx Astro add Tailwind, and then you already have this configuration. And then if, like we said, this is the index at Astro. So it looks like a lot like HTML because Astro has a special syntax that is a superset of HTML. So in your astro.file, you can do anything in HTML. Anything that you can do in HTML, basically you can do likewise here. And although Astro has its own syntax, which is a mix of HTML and JSS-like expressions. And then here we have our pages folder here. So Astro has a file-based routing, just like Next.js. So Nox, Next.js, Gatsby. So everything that we put under this pages folder will automatically be created as a page route, which is, I would say, pretty neat also. So. And okay, going back, I just want to say that one of the best things about us is we can really build something useful and powerful with having to touch client-side JavaScript, and how easy it is to just work with data and pipe it up with some markup with styles in Astro. So Astro Font Matter, so the component, which is the component script, this is where you can put your business logic. Your data access, and data can be anything from your content collections, from your database, API, Markdown files, etc. So, and then the output will be from SPA, static HTML, CSS, and SSR. So Vue transitions, I'm just going to touch it quite briefly. So I would say it's almost fresh out of the oven because it came out a couple of months or late last year. It was Astro 3, but now we're not Astro 4. And what's amazing about this is an Astro supports opt-in, per page, Vue transitions with just a few lines of code. Okay, I showed you earlier how it works in Astro. So in this case, take notice of the almost jarring look of the page as you navigate from page to page, right? You can see how jarring kind of when you navigate it. But when we add this Vue transitions with just this line of code, I added in the head of my main layout. And then and we can see, take a look at the right corner here. You can see when you click on you navigate, it provides I would say seamless animations between pages. So yeah, so that's cool. I mean, we just that line of code, you almost got this spa-like experience in your application. So the app feels like native client-side application. But actually they're not, because it's all server-side rendered HTML with with this new transitions, Vue transition API. So, and the implementation is quite simple. So you can just import, like I said, the Vue transition component into, let's say, your base layout or main layout, and just add it to the head of the HTML. And you can also hit the span mode here. And yeah, also you can do it per page if you want to, if you don't want it to be like in the whole application, just per page. So this is I saw from what they say. Astro, they have a faster rendering performance right now. So they say that in complex benchmarks, the speed performance can be as high as 75%. And then, okay, let's go to image optimization. So again, it's not, image optimization is now stable, they say, in version 3 of Astro. So let's say you can take your image from, let's say, 500 kilobytes, and then Astro will automatically reduce it down to, let's say, 7 kilobytes, or we'll say 10 or whatever, but it definitely will reduce down. I will show you later. Yeah, so you can basically achieve this using this, you can get the image component and or the get image function. So okay, so for your image to work, for Astro to optimize your images or files, you have to put it inside the source folder. If you put it in your public, Astro won't touch it. It will still be static. So when I ran like I said here, you can see how much Astro automatically optimize our image. That was stored in assets directory. So like I said, it didn't touch it public here. And if you also notice, because I have here like PNG, JPEG, PNG, right, WebP. But by default, Astro will convert your image to WebP here. You can see before it's 84 kilobytes, now it's 14, 154, it's 22 kilobytes. So content collections, actually content collection is not nothing new. It's been around like in Astro since Astro 2.0. But content collections are the best way to manage and author content in any Astro project. So that's why Astro is really famous for your building. If you're thinking of building your website or your blog, whatever, it's really good to start with Astro. So collections help you to organize your documents, validate your font matter, provide automatic TypeScript safety for all of your content. Like I said, content collections are nothing new, but it's quite also awesome setup where you can get this ability to get collections and just basically loop through them. And yeah, you have this content directory where we can define them. Okay, so this is the type-safe markdown, like using Zod. So I'm sure you're familiar with Zod. I've heard some talks earlier about mentioning Zod also. But basically, Zod is schema declaration and validation library for JavaScript and TypeScript. So it provides us a simple and intuitive API to build schemas that describe the shape and contents of your data objects. So Zod is particularly useful in scenarios where you need to validate your data, such as user input from a form or data from the API. So you can define the schema and specifies what shape and data that you should have. And Zod will check if the incoming data will matches the schema. So why use content collections? Like what I said, to validate your YAML from front matter and provide you automatic scripts type safety for all of your content. So it is also good if you're not really familiar with TypeScript, you still can easily just use Zod. So just a quick summary. So Astro is a front-end framework focused on performance, only sending JavaScript where it's needed. It combines the best of React, Vue, Svelte, and other UI library, allowing the developers to utilize their existing skills. And I would say Astro server renders HTML for SEO benefits and uses a component-based architecture for organized, reusable code. And it's equipped with tools for data and content management, enabling you to have a dynamic user experience. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I know it's thank you, right? Yeah, how do you say it? Dishugushi. Anyway, yeah, thank you, and yeah, have a good one.